Hey there, everybody. Jimmy with the Top Crane here. I know it's been a while. Man, has it been a while. Says we've got two people on here. I don't know how many people will be in. This is kind of an impromptu, spur of the moment. Haven't been on a live stream. Rearranging the YouTube thing. Video. I figured I just kind of. Oh, quick question. Someone comment. Can you hear me okay? Because I haven't done anything with my microphone down here in a while. So, if you can hear me okay, throw in a comment. 444. Where have you been? Audio is good. Oh man, it has been a deal. So we got Casey Auto Doctor. I'm gonna call you Triple Four, and then Dave says I'm coming in perfect. Um, if any of you guys have watched Andy B, how are you doing, Andy B? It's about time. If any of you guys have watched my previous streams, you can tell that this is all different. John Warren, how are you doing? Says we hear loud and clear. Wayne Tharp, how are you? But I'm kind of simplifying things, and I don't know. I hate to go into a great big what's been going on the last it's been over a year since I've done a live stream, and BNSF what's shaking. Justin McKee, how are you? But this last year, I have been completely derailed. Chris, how are you doing? Just glad to see you're still alive and well. Also, is this light too bright? Do you guys need me to? I've still got the lights in the front where I can adjust them down or up. You guys let me know what you think. And I can see I got a little shadow going on there, but Anthony, how are you doing? So, quick backstory, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional on this, but it's been a rough one. It's been almost a year since we lost my father-in-law, and that took a toll on me bad. That was last March 26th, I think. Oh, Wayne Thorpe says, wipe the camera lens. Is it dirty? Okay, hang on. Let's see. You guys tell me if that makes it better. Mo better good? Wayne Thorpe, Mo better good? I think I screwed my camera over a little bit. Anyway. Oh, Tom Gentry, lots better. Sorry about that. I didn't even think about checking how dirty the camera lens was. But yeah, so last March we lost my father-in-law, and that I've been married for it'd be 23 years in July, and he was very impactful in my life for the last almost 23 years. One of those people that, as soon as I met him, I knew I was going to get along with him. He was a farmer slash business owner, and just one of those people that wore flannel shirts everywhere he went, jeans, work boots, didn't care what other people thought. And as long as you were willing to work hard, he was willing to do whatever it took to help you out. And kind of like my protege, or someone that I really looked up to. And that, I gotta say, that took the wind out of my sails pretty bad. I really have, just now in the last, I don't know, actually today I kind of had an epiphany. I was shampooing our carpets. I had my earbuds in, and I'm like, you know what? He would not want me to be putting stuff off or letting myself get derailed over this stuff. So, hey, pick yourself up and move forward and get on with it, because that's what he'd want. But also, I kind of felt like I was traveling in the wrong direction with the YouTube thing. I had turned what was a hobby kind of into a job, and I was getting to where I wasn't really enjoying it. I really enjoy chatting with everybody and all the feedback you guys give me in the comments and all of that. That part I love it, but the editing and all the backstory stuff that goes along with YouTubing, I had taken what was a hobby and turned it into a job, and it was like, I need to get away from that. I need to get back to doing basically what I was doing, just record stuff, edit just a little bit of it, enough to make it fit into a decent sized video where people can watch it without going, geez, this thing is just dragging on, and upload it. And I had found myself constantly trying to make things better. Like I couldn't leave it alone. Like I would edit a video and upload it, and it would get decent views, and I'd watch it myself and be like, man, what can I do to make it better? So then I'd try to make it better, and I'd dive into a different editing program, and the next one I was always trying to make it better, and I was like killing myself trying to make these videos better beyond my basically beyond my editing skill. So I have decided that now, excuse me, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, and it's not COVID. So a little joke there, but um, going forward, my videos are going to kind of go back to the way they were towards the beginning, but I'll leave some of the dubstep machinery kind of music out of it. And I'm not going to do anything with like color correction. I'm not going to do stuff with, I'll try to do some fancy camera angle stuff if I can, but I'm not going to try to make it a great big theatrical production. So John Warren says he likes the 30 to 45 minutes. So let's see what all's gone on over the last over a year. We already talked about I lost my father-in-law. That was tragic. My wife has gotten her doctorate, so now she's technically a doctor. So I'm married to a doctor, which is why I know that I don't have COVID, because I've had 3 COVID tests done on me this past week. That's what you get for being married to a doctor. She's like, hey, you don't feel good? You got the sniffles? You probably have COVID. Come here. And then she shoves a swab to the back of my brain and mixes it around and all that. So that happened 3 times this week to determine that I don't have COVID. W Ball, good to see you. Armando, how are you doing? John Warren says you're going back to the raw footage. That's the best. That's what I'm shooting for. I'm going to try to keep everything as raw and to the point, and some of it, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but editing has always been my Achilles heel, and that's my biggest time consumer, and that's the place where I beat myself up the most on stuff. So I'm gonna try to just I'm gonna go to the KISS method, and those of you there should be some of you out there that knows what KISS is, and that's keep it simple, stupid. Then that's where I'm gonna go with it. So hopefully that works for everybody. I guess we'll see when I upload some stuff. Odd Tech Man, did you ever get any updates from the Juicy Caboose once it reached its final destination? I loved that video. Funny you just said that, because I actually kind of keep in touch with them to get updates on how they're doing so I can pass information along. If any of you guys are on Anthony Ray, that's funny being married to the doc. The narrator, hey, good to see you back. I watched your stuff when I was just starting out on the cranes. Where was I going with that? Oh, the Juicy Caboose. If you are on Facebook, the Juicy Caboose has a Facebook page. They also have Instagram, I believe. I think they're on Twitter. I'm not 100% certain on Twitter. But if you want to see updates on how the caboose is going, go to their Facebook page. And I will look it up real quick. And they are great people. I mean, that was a fun job, just in the fact that we were doing something different. But the energy those 2 girls have it's contagious. It was really neat to watch them be so engaged in that. But so let's see. I'm gonna try to get it to focus on this. Come on, focus. Focus. The Juicy Caboose. If you find that on Facebook, that's them. They have merch. Oh, that's really loud. Um, I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but I'm going to try to show you guys a video off my phone off their Facebook page. So they're getting it welded up. I guess they got all the holes fixed. They're getting ready to start subfloor on it. What else? They're doing the whole reno. So yeah, but go find them on, and they're going to be in Mississippi. So come on, here you go. So yeah, there's the Juicy Caboose stuff, and that was a fun job. And they've actually invited all of us to go down there, and I think they're trying to get it open in May. But they want us all to come down for their grand opening and check all of that out. So anyway, back to some comments real quick. W Ball 15 voiceover work on time lapse can be a bear to edit. Yeah, actually, all of it's kind of a bear to edit. I'm a crane operator, not overly good with the computer thing. Barry Hanson, how are you? Says it'll work for me. Jimmy John Moore, I know it's tough to always do, but try to shut the camera off and stuff that may not be able to be shown. And I do some of that, but really for the most part, I just turn it on, let the camera record. Daniel asked, how's Thor's hammer going? I've been rolling it around my garage to get it out of the way of stuff. I've got so much stuff in my garage right now. When my father-in-law passed away, they actually lived out in Colorado, and I live in Missouri. And when I say they were out in Colorado, they were 90 miles east of Durango, Colorado, and I am an hour north or so of Kansas City. So it's a pretty lengthy drive to get out to where they lived. And after he passed, we had to go out and pick up my mother-in-law and bring her back. And they were originally from this area. And then a little while later had to go out and start packing stuff up. And my brothers and I and some friends, we loaded up 4 trucks and went out there and brought back as much as we could with 4 trucks and trailers. And then I had to make another trip out and bring stuff back. And now I have so much stuff in my garage, it's hard to do anything. I barely have room for my wife's car and my lawnmower and my motorcycle in there. So I haven't gotten anything done on Thor's hammer. I guess I could almost consider it done and just start dropping it now at like 800 or 900 pounds, but I really need to finish that thing. I really need to. John Richardson, hey, good to see you back. What's popping in the crane world? Miss your footage. Don McLean, good to see you. Sorry for loss. You're following my greetings from Member 101, Kansas City, Missouri. Hey, thanks for that, David and John. Willard 102, glad you're back. Linda Sherman, welcome back. Jimmy. P. Kalonzi? Did I mess it up? Kalonzi? P. Kalonzi? Hopefully I didn't destroy that. What was my favorite lift? Definitely not a cell tower. And rumor has it we have a tower coming up. So fun. But it's only a 250 footer, so it shouldn't be as bad. My favorite lift, I don't know. I like the real technical, real fine stuff, fine movement stuff. At this point, I've done so many, I don't even know if I really have a favorite. The caboose was fun. That was probably my most fun, just because of what it was and the people that were involved. But that was probably the most fun. Justin, how are you doing? Melvin, glad to see you back, man. Enjoyed your work. David G, talk with me about licensing. I passed and I'm making money. Been waiting to thank you. Well, good for you. Congratulations on that, David or Dave. Golem One, how are you doing? Wayne Tharp, spring is a great time for garage sales. No kidding. I at this point, I probably just need to sell my whole garage and start over. The odd tech man. Oh, that you want me to park it where video? Had John Lawrence's nice haul out there, about 870 miles. I made let's see, one, two, three. I think I made 4 trips to South Fork, Colorado last year, and then one trip to Destin, Florida, and back. And these are all road trips. I When we go on vacation, I try not to fly because there was 6 of us going, and actually 7 of us went. So I would loaded up a buddy of mine's expedition EL, and away we went when we went to Florida. Nerd Garage bit behind here. Back to the basics for when. I wish more YouTubers would go back to the style of videos that got them their original viewers instead of chasing the formula. Yeah, and that's. I just found myself just trying to dive too deep into it. I'm like, man, I'm just getting in. I'm spending hours and hours and hours on these videos, editing them, and really the person that told me to keep it simple, stupid, essentially told me to keep it simple, stupid, was Randy with G4 Outdoors. Randy's like, dude, just record 10 or 15-minute clips and upload them. You'll do fine. I'm like, but you got to understand, there's a start and a finish of my day, and people want to see the start and the finish and a little bit of what's in the middle of it. He said, no, just record 15 minutes and upload it and see what happens. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I could do that, but there's so much of my day that 15 minutes, I'm just sitting here doing this for 15 minutes. So I guess I need to pick which 15 minutes. And sure, on the plus side, Southwest Colorado is beautiful. I do have some footage recorded, though. We set a house that was kind of a tricky one in a residential neighborhood. Then I've got some footage of that. I've got a little bit of footage I recorded on my phone of a bridge job. And I've got some external footage of it. DJ, where have you been at? I've been basically all over the country, but kind of just hanging back and regrouping. Oh, and then to ice the cake, there's a few of you on here that I'm friends with on Facebook, and some of you guys have seen my posts last month. And if you guys have been a subscriber for a long time, in way back in some of my live streams, we had our dogs in there, and we had to put one of our dogs down last month. That was catastrophic for my wife. Man, we've had that dog since she was 12 weeks old, and she was my wife's baby. Actually, all of ours. She was just a sweetheart dog, and she ended up having cancer and started bleeding out of her spleen, so we had to put her down. There was nothing they could do with her. She was almost 13 years old. That was another rough one. And then to make it better, Gus, our other dog, he was a rescue, and all he's ever known in our house was having Hope around, and Hope was the one we had to put down. Well, Gus, he's a little bit special. When I say special, I don't think he's playing with a full deck. He's a great dog, but I think there's just a little something off with him. So then he goes into depression and decides that he wants to just lay around the house and not really do much. So I'm like, man, now we got to get another dog. So my wife wanted to get another Amstaff, which is what we had, which is American Staffordshire Terriers. And for those of you that aren't familiar with them, let's see if I've got a picture. I know I've got a picture of them. I've got more pictures on my phone of my dogs than I do of my own kids. So there's a picture of them. This is Gus when they were sleeping, and that was Hope. She's the one we had to put down. So then Gus goes off the rails. Like, so now we got to get another dog. Well, we end up getting a different dog. Or I should say another dog. And I didn't want to get the same breed because I didn't want my wife to be sitting back thinking, man, she's just not Hope. This dog's not Hope. And I knew that whatever dog we got would never measure up to my wife's expectations. So I went with a completely different breed. Starting to wonder if I miscalculated on that, because what we ended up with is a 7 month old Greater Swiss Mountain Dog. If any of you guys aren't familiar with one of those, it's a big dog. So Gus is a pretty big dog, and that's a 7 month old puppy wrapped around him in our bed. So now I've got two knucklehead dogs running around the house. I got Gus, which is a 6-year-old Amstaff, which has got a screw or two loose, and then I got a 7 month old 80-pound puppy. So yeah, lots going on in this house. Let's see if we can get caught back up again here. Golden One Modular picks over power lines in tight suburban areas. Fortunately, I didn't have to pick that house over any power lines. On Heels, we'll watch whatever you put out, I'm sure, but you should only do videos as long as they are fun for you to do. Senseless fabrication. Damn, Jimmy, sorry to hear. Yeah, it's been a man. I just need things around me to stop dying. Sorry, Jimmy, I misses to the top crane. Senseless fabrication. Family thinks I'm not playing with a full deck either. Yeah. Dirt Boss, how are you? Says you ever go to Ritchie Brothers see all the cranes? We actually several years ago we took a crane to Ritchie Brothers and sold it. Oh, Dave G said like the videos like the one in the creek picking stumps on the edge of the bank. I pick up confidence and tips. Nerd Garage, share the footage you like. That's a good way to look at it. That stump video, that one had me a little nervous there for a while. So I would encourage you to pick up your confidence from me carefully, because sometimes we get into some stuff where we're just making it up as we go along, and you got to know your machine, and you got to know your limits, and you got to know the limits of your machine. So yeah, man, the monster tree stump, that was floaty. Wayne Thorpe, Jimmy says you're special, senseless. Yeah, I've been gone. I've been away too long, and I apologize to you guys for that. So, um, I'm gonna try to do better with that. Senseless fabrication said I hear it spent 3 months in the hospital at the beginning of the year last year, and I'm finally starting to get my strength back. Sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're on this side of the dirt. Keep getting better. Von Hill said, I assume you heard about the Eastside Tree Works crane that tipped backwards a while ago. I saw the video of that. You're talking about that Altec boom truck that guy lost his outrigger into the. Evidently, it was a cistern or a sinkhole or something. If that's one you're talking about, that was one heck of a recovery from that guy. John Warren. So, question is Darcy going to let you drop the hammer through the skylight yet? No, we haven't. We haven't talked about that recently. Dickard with Dave. How are you doing, Dave? And Dave, I've been following your stuff on Facebook, and man, Dickard with Dave's on here, and me and Dave have become pretty good friends over the years. We've never actually met in person, and I don't talk politics on this channel, but I got to tell you, Dave, I'm super impressed with you fellers up north. My thoughts and prayers to you guys, and I hope you guys get all that sorted out. And I'm trying not to go off. You know what? Heck with it. Dave, I stand with you truckers up there, man. What you guys are going through is a bunch of BS, and it's probably coming to the United States. And this is the only time you guys are going to hear politics going on this channel. And please don't hate me for it, because this is my opinion. But something's got to give, and some stuff's got to change. And if it takes shoving some trucks up some people's to get it done, then I am all for it. So much so I even calculated how much it would cost me in fuel to get our 200-ton crane to Ottawa, Canada and back. I wish I could do it because I could block a heck of a lot of roads with that. So anyway, rant over. Dave, my thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Be safe out there, buddy. And if I can do anything to help you out, by all means, shoot me a message and let me know. All right, politics over. Back to cranes. Oh, Von Heels, I didn't see that one. 50-ton crane tipped over backwards into a house. Man, that's no good. I'm not sure if that's the one Pepe's or Plaza recovered. Doing a brush pick when the climber cut it loose, it pulled the crane over backwards into an occupied house. Luckily, no. Oof. Man, senseless fabrication. You had a heck of a time. Quit smoking 2 months later, could hardly breathe and ended up having to get his right lung punctured twice to get all the fluid out. Holy smokes. Anthony, right now, that is a statement about him. John Warren, it's coming, Jimmy. Man, Von Hills, that'd be a rough one. So I gotta see if I can find this video that a friend of mine sent me. The guy was running an Altec boom truck, and his outrigger sunk into the ground. And this guy recovered like a boss. Where's it at? Oh, I don't know that I've still got it. Oh, maybe here it is. Okay, so check this out. So hopefully it doesn't get too much glare on it. That's the furthest I've ever seen a crane tipped over and not actually go all the way over. Keep watching this crazy guy. I thought he was going to turn it over here in a second. He starts rotating and booming up. I'm like, no, that's the wrong way to go, dude. That ain't going to work out for you. And then someone, like an idiot, pans the camera away, but back on rubber. That was nuts. That they would have had to put a new seat in that crane if I was in there. Not necessarily because it was tore up, but it would be soiled, probably beyond the point of being able to clean it. All right, it's nice to see you again. Best to you all from Iceland. Pork chop, glad to see you're back. Missed your videos. And I've got a whole bunch of footage. I just need to sit down and edit it. I might have some stuff too that I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll go back through my old footage and see if I've got some stuff that's got stuff in it that I had to cut out that is questionable, and maybe just do a video of questionable video stuff. Let's see. Nerd Garage. Preacher Jimmy, we're with you all the way. Yeah, that's. I've been on this YouTube thing for 3 years now, and that was the first time I've ever delved into politics on here. But man, I've been following that all week since I've been sick, and like, phew. Senseless fabrication, new seat. They would have needed to install a whole cab. It would have been coming out both ends. Yeah, that video I showed you guys. That's the closest I've seen a crane to being turned over without actually turning over. I mean, that thing was all sorts out of whack. I've seen them in bad shape before, but that's about the worst. Von Hill said apparently what I heard about it was they finally recovered the pick. It was almost twice what the crane was rated for in that configuration. That's that's common with tree work and demo work. I've got a calculator on my phone that lists different species of wood and how much it weighs per foot, and given the diameter of the log. And I use some of that. I use that a lot if I'm doing tree work. Um, but I'm still not a fan of tree work. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. God, Tech man, you've dug up some really nice antique stuff on your channel over the years, like that clamshell stuff. Like that really fascinates me. Fabrication nerd. Have on heels. Once you cut loose, you own it. That's what I don't like about demo work too. It's when I'm doing demo work, I try to set myself up to where I'm good for double what they tell me it is. So if they tell me I'm pulling a piece down that weighs 20,000, I try to set the crane up in a position and in a way that I'm good for 40,000. Because odds are, if they say it's 20, it's going to be somewhere between 20 and 40. That's just my experience, and sometimes it's a little lighter, but I've had arborists about turn me over in a boom truck before, for cutting a big chunk of stump, tree trunk off of the stump, and they pushed it away from the crane. When they cut it and it fell away from the crane, and it was no good. Senseless fabrication. The wife is doing well. She said she's all done with school now, which fortunately she hasn't enrolled in anything else in the last year, but there's still time for her to decide to get another degree, which wouldn't surprise me a bit. I mean, she's got her doctorate. Why wouldn't she have a second master's in something or a second doctorate in something? But it's whatever. Tech man, you've had that in the past. The monster ammonia tanks. Yepers. Says yeah, E-side aims for 60% of what the operator says he's good for. They just got it wrong on that pick. All it takes is one. Yeah, Nerd Garage problem with trees. They're totally unpredictable. Lakeside Ranch, how are you doing? Says, hey, Jimmy, great to see you again. And I'm glad to be back on here. It's been too long. Census fabrication. Have you seen? What is it? Rion Rounds on Instagram. She's a gangster with work in school. I haven't. I haven't even been on Instagram for I don't know how long. I don't know how long it's been. Jason Helsley, how are you doing? Says, welcome back, sir. Where you been? It's been well. I'm friends with you on Facebook. It's been a year. Money Hills Plus, when you're stretched out like that, you don't have to be wrong by much to cause real issues. That's a fact. Yeah, it's been one of those years. Time to pick up and move forward. So, what do you guys think about this back here? Since I cleaned it up a lot, I just got rid of a lot of stuff that I felt like was distracting. William Rourke just noticed your live. Hello from another CCO operator in Kentucky. Hello from Missouri. But yeah, I kind of felt like I had stuff back here. It was Like it was too busy. I've still got the die-cast cranes in case we ever need to drag them out and talk about them. So here's one of them. Yeah, I've still got those. I just don't have them propped up where they're visible. CJS has missed the first 15 minutes or so. Don't know if it's been asked what's your least favorite lift. Anybody in comments want to answer CJ's question of what my least favorite lift is? We'll see. Someone will pipe in there. I guarantee it. There's too many people on here that have been watching too long. There it is. And there it is. Yeah, I figure. I mean, there's too many people on here that have been watching too long to know that, or that can answer that question. I don't know when our next one's coming up, but I know a customer called and got pricing. So I'm assuming that we can show that. I don't know why it cut that out. Nerd Garage. I thought cell towers were your favorite, but we had a company call in and get pricing. So I'm assuming that we're going to get the work just because that's the way things seem to happen. Andy Bean, I liked the cell tower lift. They do make kind of neat footage, but I'm not a big fan of them. Any new pieces of equipment in the fleet? Nope. Still running with the same thing we've had. We've got 8 cranes. Oh, Von Hill said we had, I think, a 206-ton Lieberg that partially turned over not too far from here about 6 months ago. It was a tandem lift and the rigging broke on the second crane. That's a bad day. So I wonder if someone miscalculated the rigging or if they rigged it incorrectly and like a sharp edge cut a sling or steel choker or something. Typically, rigging doesn't let go unless it's overloaded, and it's got to be overloaded significantly. I mean, rigging's typically 4 to 5 times. Most all of it is 5 times the safe working load. Chain link split. Lifting chains. I'm not a fan. Not a fan on some of it. I can't say that altogether completely, but our foundry hooks are attached to about 4-foot chains, and I really like our foundry hooks because they save a lot of time and whatnot. So Wayne Tharp says, I've been smelling a roast in the crock pot all day. Time to eat, brush yourself off, and get back to the basics. We all enjoyed the start with. Great to see you. You too, Wayne. Enjoy your. That sounds really good. I could go for some roasted potatoes and carrots. William says possible inspection issue. I mean, it could have been cracked before, but also could have been overloaded. It's hard to say, especially with rigging with chains. A lot of times people think chains are just completely indestructible, and they are tough. And when I say something's tough, chains are typically tougher than woodpecker lips. I mean, they're tough, but they all have their limitations, and chains are no exception to that rule. Von Hill says the working load limit of the chain was well within spec. So, I mean, were they choking the chains around something? Did they have it basketed around something? Because then, we covered it in one of my rigging videos on math. If you run a chain up the side of something and then you break it over, my jacked up fingers, but you break it over towards the hook, you got to take in consideration where that chain is broke over that piece. And if it point loads on that link, I mean, it could overstress it. No, it says hooked to lifting eyes. I mean, it could have just been a manufacturing defect too. That'd be bad. What were they picking? Hopefully, it wasn't something. Well, if it was a tandem pick with a 260 ton, it was something significant. Oh, overpass beams, bridge beams. I've picked one or two of those. Gary Johnson, how are you? Says good to see you back, Jimmy. And I know you guys like, but that doesn't say Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson uses, I think, his wife's account. So that's why it's Yvonne Johnson, but it's actually Gary Johnson. Yeah, we've got some chains, and we do use chains occasionally for some stuff, but my go-to is I've got some orange Dyneema continuous slings that I really like, and I try to pamper those. Um, and then nylons or polyester and steel chokers. But we do use some chains occasionally. The thing with chains is when they go, they explode. I mean, it's just, and it can happen with, synthetic and wire rope rigging too, where it just pops. But sometimes you'll see that stuff start to give away. And if you're not far off the ground, maybe if you're lucky, you can get it back on the ground. But it says it was a single point pick for each crane off a lifting eye on each end, and one end broke. Probably precast concrete too, which so the beam's destroyed, I'm sure. Yeah, so since they're more expensive, but they're worth their weight in gold. Yeah, your rigging. I mean, I see people abuse rigging, and I treat my rigging probably better than most people do. But that's the only thing attaching the crane to the piece. So your rigging is just as important as any other part of the crane. Then some people don't understand that. They'll leave it out in the weather, or, they'll leave synthetic stuff out in the sun all the time, or in oil or diesel fuel, and whatever. They completely mistreat their rigging, and that's your only connection to what you're picking. So treating your rigging nicely is the only way to go. Your rigging, your rope, your hook, all that stuff. So many people take that stuff for granted. The wire rope, they let it get all rusty, or they'll turn it into a bird's nest on the drum, and get it up against things, and it just, it's not worth the risk. If you take care of your stuff, it'll take care of you. That's with any machine, anything you're doing. If you take care of it, it'll take care of you. Hell, William says our field guys are terrible with that. I keep mine in a locked box for only I have the key. So speaking of the wire, Jimmy, do you ever have to respool? The rope that is on our crane, on the one that I operate, our big Tadano, as far as I know, and we bought that crane used, but as far as I know, it's the original rope, and that crane's a 2013. But I take care of it. I don't drag it through the mud. I keep it lubricated. I don't get it up against things. I take care of that wire rope like it's a newborn baby. Now, on our 50-ton boom trucks, we have put rope on those things pretty extensively over the last few years, and that's because they got damaged. But it happens. I mean, sometimes things happen. But I like one of our 50-ton boom trucks, I put brand new rope on it. I mean, it was brand new, rotation resistant. We were trying a new thing, galvanized, which is pretty neat stuff, and it is very much up to capacity. It was actually way over capacity. But brand new galvanized rope, rotation resistant. It was on there maybe a month, And the guy that was running the 50-ton boom truck, I don't know what happened, but he was running his winch in high speed. I think he had two parts in, which isn't an issue, but his computer kicked out thinking that it was two blocked, and it stopped his winch in a hurry, or like made it jumpy, and it bird nested all that rope on his drum because it was starting and stopping just jerky, and ended up wadding it up, and I had to replace it, and it was only a month old. So there's that. And then our other 50-ton, we put brand new rope on it, same stuff, pretty expensive, about $1,100, I think, for 450 feet. And well, that one, when the block got reeved up to four parts, his rope may or may not have gotten ran over a pin that's supposed to be over the, so where your shivs are at. So you got a shiv, your rope sits in the groove on the shiv, and then there's a pin that holds the rope in that shiv to keep it from jumping out. That rope may or may not have gotten put on the outside of that pin, and then proceeded to pick a piece that was about 20 some thousand pounds, and it just tore the crap out of that rope. Unfortunately, it had four parts of line in it, so it was about 170 feet deep into the 450 feet of rope. So we just had to put new rope on it again. So yeah. Let's see, Object man. Can you imagine the smaller boom trucks would need it more? Yeah, the boom trucks, they do typically need their rope changed more often because they do tend to get a little more abused. Since this fabrication, you've shown videos of how you take care of it. That's I probably should do a video series or just a video on wire rope maintenance on a crane. I don't think I've ever done that where I've shown cleaning it and lubricating it and all that. It would be a fairly short video. It's pretty straightforward, but I could probably do that. What are my thoughts on being up in a tower crane all shift? I don't operate tower cranes. I didn't lose nothing up there. I got no reason to be up there. I get about 14 feet off the ground when I'm walking across the boom, changing rope configurations or something like that. But that's about it. King says, I always enjoyed your videos. I found them interesting and educational as well. Census fabrication. So, what do you do with all that rope? Keep it for a rainy day or scrap it? So, what we'll do is we'll cut the bad section out, and then we coil it up and leave it on a spool. And I mean, there's a lot of other uses for that. We can make chokers. We can send it off to a manufacturer and have them make chokers out of it, or we can. I mean, we have a few facilities that have barges that we do maintenance stuff on, so we can actually sell it to them for tie off rope for barges and stuff like that. So we don't throw it away. We'll cut out the bad spot and chuck it, and then we'll keep the good rope. You never know. We do some stuff sometimes that takes some funny rigging, or we might need a 60-foot choker for something, and so we can actually make our own chokers with that. Even just using cable clamps, there's a method you can calculate all out how many clamps you got to have, and you can make chokers with it. So we don't throw away old rope. Von Heels, if you ever see Jimmy's butt in a tower crane seat, send help because he's against. That's a fact because I'm there against my will. Fish Find, how are you doing? He said it's been a minute. He said, "Can you do more of those educational videos on shackle straps and cables, etc.? That's what I really liked." I can. I don't know how much more I can talk about shackles because we covered that in one of the other ones, but um, what else could we talk about? I mean, I guess I could do another one, or we could maybe try to lay some stuff out and do some different rigging techniques, maybe. So, Von Heel says, by the way, how'd those specialty chain slings you showed a while ago work out? Are you talking about the ones that it's four individual chains hooked into a picking eye on each end, and then they're all woven together? Actually, I think it's five chains maybe. They're all woven together with cable and stuff. That's we used them one time. That's it. We used them on one job, and then they've been sitting there. We actually ordered two sets, and what they were ordered for was unloading coiled steel, and we used them one time. That's it. The other ones we ordered two. One of them got used. The other one is still brand spanking new. Never picked a thing with it new. They're both sitting on a pallet. I don't know if we'll ever do another one of those coil steel jobs again, but I guess it'd be useful for basketing something that's just insanely heavy. So there's that. Little cat truck. What's the biggest crane I've operated? Oh, I've been in over 500 ton. I got a runny nose from this stupid cold. Driving me nuts. And no, again, it is not COVID. I got tested 3 times this week from my doctor wife. David Stewart, how are you? He said from Canada, honk honk. William said a few of our guys really struggled on their practical CCO rigger one test. Proper rigging technique videos would be invaluable to those going into the trade. I could. I'm trying to think of how I could set up some scenarios where we're actually rigging something and do it in a way that the customer is not affected. So I guess what I could probably do is on my own time go get a crane out and rig something up. And I guess I could just use one of our Brodersons and do something small, but some different scenario kind of things and see. I don't know. I'll try. I'll brainstorm on that. See what I come up with. Fact is, when you get to insane territory, you're most likely to fall back on what you're most comfortable, familiar with, not something new. That's true. Do I ever work with handling? Uh, do you ever do any work handing off to one of your Versa lifts? Seen a few boilers and chillers brought indoors that way. We do occasionally. Our Versa lifts get used mostly moving equipment around in. Um, you guys have probably seen Altec boom truck. Actually, I showed a video earlier of an Altec boom truck that was not in too good a position, but um, Altec boom trucks and bucket trucks and digger derrick trucks, they have a manufacturing facility in town, and we do most all of their machinery moves inside their facility. And they just built a new facility, so we've our Versa lifts have been used a lot inside there, moving their big presses and shears and you name it around from one building to another. Unfortunately, I can't record in there, so there's that. So let's see if I got any pictures of fun stuff that I've done. Um, this was the house that we just did in the residential neighborhood. I had to set that from the end. Kind of hard to see with the light glaring on it. That was a fun one because their site wasn't overly level. The front tires of the crane were about 3 feet off the ground. You guys are all over whoever that is. Let's see. Yeah, there's a different angle. It's hard to get that camera to focus on this thing. I haven't done a real good video, I don't think, of the inside of the crane cab and switches and all of that good stuff. Tim McCardle, how are you doing? But here's a halfway decent picture, if I can get it to focus, and I'll actually try to zoom in on what I see when I'm sitting in the seat as far as controls go. So it's probably not all that unlike an airplane, maybe. I don't know. Focus. And that's without the joysticks. So I probably should do a video inside there too. Oh, Von Hill said I did do a video of that. Okay, well maybe I have. Oh, that'd be a good idea. Fish find says that'd be neat to see the inside. Maybe you can go from the oldest machine to the newest, so we can see technological progression over the years. Nerd Garage need more buttons. Here's a video coming up that you guys. I've got footage on that. So, what looks like maybe a wind turbine tower section is not a wind turbine. That's a water tower that we took down. So I've got some footage of that I need to edit yet. I didn't record any footage of this one, but that's up in Osceola, Iowa, stretched out over the backside of a casino. Digger with Dave said, "Okay, I'm heading back to hold my place on the line. Love seeing you back." Freedom, Freedom George up there in Ottawa has been very vocal, and that dude has quite the following. Dave, be careful up there, my friend. Seriously, be careful. If I can help with anything, by all means, shoot me a message and let me know. I will do my best to take care of whatever I can for you. But that was, let's see, I think that was almost a 200-foot radius. Focus. Come on, focus. Focus right there. Focus. Almost a 200-foot radius with a man basket on. I'm trying to get caught up here. Says Fabrication, you should do a video on what off-road's the best. Actually, our 180G does pretty good off-road. Von Heels have been told by a local operator that until they unhook him from the load, his hands never leave the sticks. I can't say that. I mean, if I'm sitting there hanging on to something for a long time or doing whatever, I'll take my hands off the sticks. I mean, there's no point in just sitting there if nothing's going to happen. Time to walk the dog. Glad to see you back. Hope your cold goes away soon. Welcome back, Jimmy. Thanks for all the great videos. Don't worry about what we would like to do, what you like most. KW900, how are you doing? So glad to see you're still kicking. But what is it? P. Calonzi? That's got to be Calonzi. I hope it's warm where you're walking the dog because it's fairly chilly here. Jason Helsley says, I still want to see you go run Ron's rotator. Little cat truck. We have 8 cranes. I think 8 cranes. Let's see. 3 Brodersons. Stand-up boom trucks. That's 4, 250 tons. So that's 6 and the 100 ton and 200. And we have 8. Tim says, sounds like you're on the back end all the sinus crap we've all had. I am indeed. Uh, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, actually Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday sucked. So Andy B says I was amazed with the video of the deflection. That's another one that I need to do next time. I'm gonna have some boom out and doing a max pick or pretty close to max pick. I'm gonna put a camera. I'll use a magnet mount. Put a camera on the back of the boom or like underneath the bottom, and I'll do maybe a time lapse or something so you guys can see the boom going like this. I mean, I've had it hunched over pretty far. Von Heels, the jib offset on that was 20 degrees. Let's see. There's a good sunrise picture up there in Iowa. Probably doesn't show up very good on here because my camera's getting washed out. But let's try to see if I got any cool stuff that we've done. Haven't picked up any airplanes or anything in a while. Got a bunch of stuff I probably need to throw on Instagram, but I haven't been on Instagram in forever. Von Hill says, well, he claims if something goes wrong, he doesn't want anybody to be able to say he wasn't prepared to react. And I get that. If I'm doing something that, if I'm hanging on to something that's a little sketchy, or if I'm doing something that's going to require immediate attention, or I think it's going to require immediate attention, then I'll sit there with my hands on the sticks. But most of the time, if I'm just hanging on to something, I know it's not going anywhere, and everything's good to go, then I'll kick back and relax. Odd Tech Man says you have to requalify every 5 years. So our crane certs have to be re-upped every 5 years. Nerd Crouch, Jason, having Ron and Jimmy do a job together would be awesome. I would love to do that, but we're on opposite ends of the state. So Missouri's not really a square, but if it was, I'm up here and Ron's down there. So Chris DeBow, how are you doing, Chris? Von Hills, granted, only bad things ever happen quickly on a hydraulic crane. Oh, I can't pronounce it either. We'll just call you Epi. Welcome back. I was hoping you didn't get sick or get hurt. I do have a cold. I'm getting over it. I didn't get hurt. Just been regrouping, collecting, regrouping. Nate Lang says with new laws, you have to retake the complete test, not just the partial. My crane cert's not up until 2024, so I got 2 years left on mine, I think. Jason Helsley said, time to go find some food, maybe another adult beverage, and swap out some laundry. Take care, stay safe, and look forward to new videos. You take care too, my friend. Oh, wow. Senseless Fabrication said, I just saw a helicopter crash in Miami right off the beach into the ocean. I wonder who's going to recover that. Von Hills, the Tater will probably never make a trip that far out of their service area, and gas for the 200B cost prohibitive, probably. So I figured it up, and not to dive back into political stuff, but if I had to drive the old 200 ton to Ottawa, it was going to cost $2,600 one way just in fuel for the crane. And I would have to drive for 30 hours straight. So there's that. I'm getting that 200 ton gets between 1 and 2 miles per gallon. Um, Fuel being what it is, it's expensive quick. Williams says, same here. I haven't seen anything about retaking both parts. We just had a guy recert not too long ago, and he only had to take the refresher written test. It wasn't even the full written. I think 75 of the 150 questions. So, Anthony Ray dedication. Tim says, well, seen you on. Wanted to say hi. Got to get back at it. Get better soon. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for stopping in. Von Hills, but as far as how far you will go, I imagine the same answer as Ron. As far as someone wants to pay it, that's it. As far as someone wants to pay us to go. Senseless fabrication 2600. That's nothing for you. Is that 1 or 2 miles per gallon downhill? Nate Lang, our 450 gets 1 mile per gallon. I think anything, once you get past a certain point, 1 to 2 miles per gallon is all you're going to get. Dalton Feast gets gallons per mile, miles per gallon. If you're going uphill, it's gallons per mile. That thing does not like climbing hills. It'll go from 53 to 20 in pretty short order on a steep enough hill. Back to senseless fabrication. That 2600 is nothing for you. Jimmy, the wife, brings it in. If I owned that crane, it would be more involved in other activities, I promise. Plaza Towing, how are you doing, Trent? It says nice to see you online. Get back into it. How'd the Broderson tow go, Trent? He said that he sent me a text the other day. He was going to be hauling a Broderson, I think it was an IC80 or something similar. And he was kind of asking me what to look out for when he was loading it. So I was kind of giving him some insight. But he's going to have it there at his facility over the weekend. So hopefully you're playing with it, Trent. And if you're playing with it, shoot some video of you playing with it. And Trent, since you're on here, I know you've been talking about getting into the world of cranes. And what I was telling you in text the other day, if you guys picked up a couple Brodersons and got into doing some machinery moving for people in the industrial complexes in your area, you guys can make a lot of money. And it's stuff that's not really out of your guys' wheelhouse, because if you're going out and recovering vehicles off the side of the road, you're doing kind of strange rigging and you're moving heavy stuff and you're picking stuff up and you're manipulating it. It's kind of the same thing with moving equipment inside some of these industrial facilities. And the thing with the way you guys are situated in your field, you already have some lifting equipment, meaning your rotator, and you also have transport equipment. So if you guys picked up a couple IC200s and maybe an IC80 or an IC80 and an IC200, you guys could probably make some money moving equipment around. Shane Davis says, how are you doing? Says, damn, Jimmy, missed you. Von Heels, machinery moves are big money and there's never a normal day at work. That's a fact. And I've got some pictures of some pretty crazy machinery moves that we've done, but they required our bigger cranes. But it's along the same lines. And Trent, I would encourage you guys, if you want to get into the world of cranes, that would be an easy way to get in without a huge investment. And also, it's a lot easier to cut your teeth on those, because smaller crane is typically easier to manage. So, yeah, let me see if I can find one of these pictures. Where's it at? Come on. Scrolled way too back in my camera feed. I've only got 3,213 images on my phone. I think it's probably time for me to clean some of those out. Got to be getting close. I say that. It'll probably take me forever. But we've had our 100-ton and our 200-ton inside of a building picking equipment and setting it. No headroom, barely swing. Everything's got to be situated exactly perfect. But those are the kind of jobs that pay a lot of money because those are the kind of jobs that not a lot of people can do. Yeah, I definitely dove way far back in my phone. So here's a picture of our 100-ton setting a machine inside of a building. Focus. It's still not going to focus. The reason why that was so tricky is we were setting a piece down into about a 4 foot deep pit, and that piece weighs about 28,000. So yeah, those are the kind of jobs that, Trent, if you guys want to jump into some stuff, I would encourage you to go that way. William says, pick weird heavy things up, place weird heavy things where customer requests, don't drop weird heavy thing. True story. William works smaller crane, less parts to break. Yeah. Senseless fabrication. We had a concrete pumper here for Con Expo, said it was almost 20,000 for it to get shipped in from Southern California. Fish Find has 8,251 photos. And sometimes when you get into moving some of that weird stuff, it does get a little sketchy, and you're making stuff up on the fly, and sometimes you got to tell safety people to go back to their office, and um, you double triple check things, and sometimes you still just got to get in and make it happen. And really, it's a wonder I still have all 10 of these. Yeah, odd thickness. At least you got some lift angle there. It wasn't flat stick. Real said we had to pay $1,800 to move a 450 or 450 Komatsu loader 85 miles from my yard to another yard. Jeez. Shane Dave says, I know you're not a crawler guy, but what does the operator do in a crawler going up and down different pick points? How are you supposed to go up and down with your boom configuration? So with a crawler, they typically the work is planned out ahead of time. What they know what they're going to do with the crawler, so they configure the boom on the crane for the work they're going to be doing. If something happens where they need a longer boom length, then they have to lay the boom down and put a section in it. Or if they need a shorter boom length, then they have to lay it down and take a section out. But typically, a job that a crawler is going to be on, they will configure the boom for like the heaviest pick and the most radius that they can. But generally, it's configured for the heaviest pick that crawlers are going to be doing on the job site, and then they move the machine around from there if they need to. But a crawler can still be laid down and reconfigured. It just takes a little more time than pushing a button on the computer and selecting a different boom configuration and scoping some in and scoping some out. But hopefully that answers your question. I'm not 100% certain what you were shooting for there, but hopefully that answers your question. Plaza Towing says, what's this week look like? Jimmy, what's the crane scheduled to do? As far as I know, I don't think we have a whole lot on the schedule as far as crane work, but since we are in the crane rental industry, that can change by the second. But I do need to service the old 200-ton Tadano here pretty soon. So, but that's just oil and filters. So I don't know that you guys really want me to record changing oil and filters. I mean, it's just like changing oil and filters in a car or truck. There's just a lot more of it. Fish find said I see a crawler on my way to work and it's parked with the boom, slipping half in the top end on the ground at first glance. Thought it was like it was bent, but it's just folded. So it must have a luffing jib on it. So on big crawler, if they got a big luffer on it, so you got your main boom here, you got your jib on it, or come here, little crane, boom, jib, unless you're in Australia, because they call it different things there. But what they'll do on those big crawlers is they'll offset that jib down and they'll touch the jib point on the ground and then they call it knifing it down. So if they got to lay it down, then they'll do that. And then they got wheels on the end of the jib and then they'll boom down with it and it'll lay out like that. If they're just going to leave it for a short period of time or whatever, then they'll knife the tip of the jib down on the ground and it keeps them a lot more stable if the weather's going to get bad. It's the preferred configuration if you're going to leave it for a while. So hopefully that makes sense. Fish fight. I still want to see you take it to the Mercedes dealer for an oil change. I don't think they'd be too happy with me pulling that thing into their one of their service bays. Yeah, William Works said we just finished a water treatment plant where the GC had two crawlers. Those cranes sat in one spot and lifted everything they needed lifted until they were finished. And they planned it ahead and they configured the cranes and whatnot for what they needed to pick. Obsessed anime freaks. This random question: have you seen the military recovery crane from Liebherr? I've seen some of it. I haven't really watched all of the video on it. It looks like a pretty neat rig. Rough Warmer says I used to work, had a 999, took about 4 days to set up, 180 main, 120 jib, single part, 28,000 pounds max. 80B, the crawler at Nashville is 439 feet. Yeah, and those big crawlers, they're logistically a nightmare. I'm so glad we don't own any of them. Not that running a crawler sucks. It's just putting them together and transporting them's terrible. So crawlers, you want to have a job where you're going to send them in, they're going to stay put for a while. Otherwise, it's very, very expensive for the customer to pay, your mobilization costs. Everest says 15 trucks to build the 999, and a 999 is not a huge crane. I mean, it's a big crane, but it's not like the 1,000-ton and 2,000-ton cranes. It's a 999. I don't even remember what is the spec on a 999. 250-ton or 300-ton. I don't remember off the top of my head. Google knows though. 999's 250-ton. So in the realm of cranes, it's not a gigantic crane. But there are some cranes out there that are absolutely enormous. Let's see. Let's see if we can get this picture to show up. This thing, I'm not 100% certain what that is. I know it's owned by Mammut. Those down there, those are 40-foot shipping containers for counterweight. They're full of ballast. So that thing's nuts. Here's a picture of it with the boom laid down. I never want to run something like that. Let's see if it says what the capacity is on that thing. Um, 2,000 tons, maybe. It picked up a 3.5 million pound wash tower. I mean, who doesn't pick up 3.5 million pound things every day? I mean, seriously, that no thanks. Let's try to get caught up here. A little cat truck. Any advice someone getting into the business? Learn as much as you possibly can. Try to if you're trying to get into the world of cranes, try to find a crane rental company or something that you can go in as a driver, even if you're in there washing their equipment. But you're gonna have to start at the ground and work your way up. And don't try to move too fast. Make sure that you're soaking everything up like a sponge and go at a pace that you're comfortable. I see there's some people out there when they get into the world of cranes, they want to just jump into the biggest thing they can find, and you really got to start holding them back, otherwise they're going to kill themselves or someone else. And then there's other people that when they get in the world of cranes, you got to kind of nudge them along and push them out of their comfort zone. So find that happy medium in there where you're progressing at a pace that you're comfortable with, but you're not outworking your comfort level. Shane Davis, ever come across a job where you showed up and like, oh my God. Indeed. Sven Black says, hi from IUOE Local 4 member. Great to see you back. Well, hello from Local 101. Von Heels, it does take 3 trucks to move the 200 with its full set of weights. Geez, senseless fabrication. So when they need to built a new stadium here in Vegas, 40 trucks per crane. Ugh. Yeah, Nate Lang says that is. I knew that was a ringer on that crane. It's a ringer setup, but I'm not exactly sure what the actual crane. I think the crane was manufactured by Manitowoc, but I'm not 100% certain. Oh yeah, they had an LR 11350. That's a big rig. Fish find 3.5 million. I did 3.6 million last week. Oh, that's funny. Rail said, didn't someone come up with a crawler that had what they called a power boom? I think I remember reading something about a power boom. I don't remember exactly what that entails. I don't dive too deep in the world of crawlers. Yeah, funny. So also don't forget to erect those big cranes. Normally take several, not tiny cranes. That's a fact. First rule of the crane: grip it and rip it. That's me fishing, especially first time out fishing for the year. Man, when I first trip out for the year, I don't know. I probably ripped the face off of a bunch of bass. William Works' Little Cat Trek. Best of luck on your journey. It's highly stressful but highly rewarding career, and it is. The world of cranes. It's a very rewarding career, but it is very stressful at times. It's not all the time, but there are times that you're sitting in that seat going, "What did I get myself into?" Uh, let's see how you pronounce that. We'll go with the last name Sladek. Maybe I'm guessing probably over in Iceland somewhere or Norway. Says, have I ever put up a tower crane? I have not put up a tower crane. We don't in our area. We don't have tower cranes now. If you go to Kansas City, which is an hour away, they have several tower cranes up down there on occasion. But the company that owns them also has their own big cranes, so we'll never get that work. William says it's Liebherr. The power boom is a 3 boom wide base section. I know what you're talking about now. I'm smelling what you're stepping in. Oh, Fish Find says get a heart rate monitor and put your BPM on the screen when doing a crazy pick. That'd be fun to see. I've never thought of that, but that might be interesting. Charlie Owens, how are you doing? It probably takes a few years off your life from stress. Maybe not take a few years off, but I bet if you compared this to 3 years ago when I started this channel, this is probably significantly more involved. Jimmy operates tower crane, sell tower crane. Tadano does make a hydraulic crawler, yes. Rail, especially when the load bar shoots over the yellow zone. I will be putting out more videos, yes. Frank Hartmeyer, how are you doing? Since I haven't seen you in a while, hope all is well. William Work at times that'd probably be scary to see. It would be really scary if I had a heart rate monitor on and it went to nothing. That'd be pretty scary. That'd probably be especially scary for people outside the crane. Andy B, a DMAG CC 8800 at the airport, 73 truckloads. At that point, yeah, I'd just put it on a train. Nerd Garage, one of the YouTube gamers I watch puts a heart rate monitor on the screen when she's playing horror games. That would be pretty fun. Would you really see if it went to nothing? Probably not. Shane Davis says ground failure under your outriggers. Are you responsible if ground failure happens? Uh, that's a I don't know. I guess it depends on what caused the ground to fail. I mean, if you were set up on top of a manhole or an underground vault or a septic tank, I would say that the operator's probably going to get in trouble for that. Um, if it's a sinkhole or a cave system or something that no one knows anything about, I would say that there might be a way out of that. But if I take my crane into a job site and I set it up, say I'm setting a house and I set up right on top of their septic tank, and I pick up half the house and swing over that outrigger and it buries into their septic tank and flips the crane over and kills 10 people, I'm probably going to go to jail. Now, if I do the same thing and there's a cave system involved, then, I might be able to be like, hey, who knew there was a cave here? So there's that. I mean, I'd say there's a lot of variables that go into that. Yeah, Von Hill says it right there. Doing stuff they knew was sketchy, on the edge, everyone was on their toes. So if you are in a crane and you knowingly are doing something risky, then that's when you are subject to complacency. And complacency will get you put in jail. They call it gross negligence in the field. So, like, For instance, say I had 180 feet of boom out and I had a man basket on, and the wind was blowing 45 miles an hour, and two guys got thrown out of the man basket and died. I would be responsible for that because, I should have been the competent operator that says, hey, it's too windy. This is unsafe. They wouldn't have died if I would have never put them there. So if it went to court, I would be in trouble for that. That's why, and I can't reiterate this enough to the guys that are sitting in the seat of these cranes. If you're not comfortable with something, if something's not right, don't do it. You ultimately have the say. Even if you lose your job over something, it's always better to live to fight another day. And if you're worried about, and I've seen this, and I know I'm missing a lot of comments here, but I can't stress this enough. Say you get sent out to a job site or you're working for a customer or whatever, and they tell you, "Hey, if you don't make this pick, I'm just going to fire you and get someone else to come in and do it." And you know that someone's going to get killed or could get killed or seriously injured or something just isn't right. Disable the damn machine. I would rather burn a crane to the ground than see someone get killed. I'm not advocating arson, but what I'm saying, there's ways that you can make a machine not operate without burning it to the ground. But that's, you know, we have to look out for one another in the world of construction. And if you got one of those people that's out there just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and you're not comfortable with it, and in your heart of hearts that it is wrong and someone's going to get hurt, disable the machine and leave. Fish find, saying steal all the fuses and relays. Sure. I mean, if you know that someone's going to get dead because you don't, I would absolutely do that. They'll cat track exactly like what happened at the Milwaukee crane accident. That's, I probably take safety to the next level when it comes to this stuff. But, um, just like when I was flying those guys in the man basket up in Iowa over a casino, I had them in a man basket at almost a 200-foot radius, and they were out over a lake. You got to kind of be on your A game when you got someone stretched out that far, and you got them over water, and it was almost frozen water. I mean, it was cold, and you have no visibility, so you're doing everything by radio contact, and so you got to have a clear head and make sure you're doing everything right. My rule, then I will occasionally have some adult beverages here and there, only on nights that I don't have to work the next day. So as soon as I got my crane certification, I made a rule for myself that I will not consume alcohol within 24 hours of getting in that crane, period, or any crane or any machine, because I want to make sure that I am completely cloud free when I'm sitting in there. And that not only protects me, but it protects everybody working around me. And the guys that were in the man basket, we had a conversation about that, and they said, that's why we appreciate you sitting in the seat, because we know for sure that when you're in there, you're making the best decisions that you can make, and we don't have to concern ourselves with the safety of the crane or what you're doing. So, that was a compliment to me is, hey, we don't worry about you because we know that you haven't been drinking the night before, you're not hungover, and that you're taking this thing seriously because you have to. So people getting into the world of cranes or already in the world of cranes, don't do stuff that's going to get people dead, and you don't have to worry about going to jail. Let's see. I'm a long ways up on comments here. Do I have to pay for the legality? It just depends on it depends on the scenario. What a lot of, and if you were just working around cranes, I've had this discussion with. iron workers, millwrights, carpenters, plumbers, pipe fitters, general contractors, owners of companies, everything. If something goes south, the difference between me and them, and this is what a lot of superintendents on job sites don't understand. Even if they tell you, "Hey, go make this pick," and you're a certified crane operator, the difference between their position and your position in a courtroom is they're a witness and you're a defendant. That's the difference. So people are working around the crane. If they say, "Hey, make this pick," if something happens and someone gets dead, they're a witness and you're a defendant. So there's that. Let's see. I skipped over a lot of comments there. Oh, Billy Laptop, you didn't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Thank you for that, sir. Nate Lang, ground failure happened to two operators I know. Both were not responsible because it was the customer's responsibility to check ground conditions they were under. It was a massive water main. I could see that getting passed off to someone else. The assessing in that house scenario, what if the construction company neglected to tell you about the septic tank? I always ask. Any house job, I always ask, where's the septic tank? Because typically we're setting them out in rural areas and they're not on sewer, and so there's a septic tank involved. And most of the time, I like to hear, "Well, it's not set yet," which is the perfect answer. I would rather do one where the septic tank's not set. I have done a few where the septic tank was already in the ground, and I've set up where I was straddling a septic tank. Had the septic tank right under the middle of the crane, but it was nowhere near my outriggers. William Morgan, stress it more. No one understands in this industry. Yeah, little cat trick. The first operator refused the lift, and he called and report the unsafe act. Fish on my neighbor was a union crane or union operator was looking to get me in the crane union. I didn't do anything, no smoking or drinking. Yeah, I mean, you in my opinion, you got to treat these things just like you're an airline pilot. Actually, airline pilots sometimes even do some sketchy stuff, but um, you got to treat them serious. If you don't treat them serious, people die. And when things start going south in a crane, it starts happening in a hurry. Since the fabrication said I had a neighbor, it was a crane operator. He got wasted every night and would always operate the next day. I was always worried he was going to kill someone. Yeah. Terrible, terrible thing to do. I mean, last thing you want to do, even if you can go in there the day after getting trashed and still know what you're doing, it doesn't mean you're not impaired in some way. And then if something does happen, first thing you're going to do is a drug test on you. Last thing you want to do is give some prosecutor some ammunition to hammer you with a charge because you had 0.006 blood alcohol content. I mean, there's just no reason for it. Drink on the weekend when you don't have to go to work the next day. William Work, thanks for that. Man, you guys, I tell you. Red Rocket Pig says you should give us a quick run through on how you pick up your counterweights on that Tadano you run. There's actually a video way back. I actually put a camera back there showing the counterweight cylinders coming down and engaging the top of the counterweight and lifting them up and all that. So there's a few videos way back in the archive. Oh, Von Heels. I've worked with equipment operators before they started drinking when they woke up and stopped when they went to bed for obvious reasons. Never worked near them. That's a fact. Shane Davis, what was my hardest pick and why? Yeah, I did one that was I did a 103,000 pound ammonia tank that was about 10,000 pounds heavier than what it was supposed to have been. Um, the hardest pick. I did a gas turbine generator shaft that was tough because when you're handling a gas turbine generator shaft, it's basically the inside of a jet engine, but it's big. And when you're moving those, they want you to move like fractions of inches and eighths of an inch. So cabling something up and down eighths of an inch, or booming down to move something away from you an eighth of an inch, or swinging an eighth of an inch is very difficult to do. Um, so that one was pretty tough. But the reason why you got to be so, I mean, you got to be so incredibly precise with them is the tolerances inside those things are minuscule. I mean, there's places you can't slip business cards and stuff in, and if you bump those fins or the vanes on the shaft, it tears them up, and they're expensive, and people get mad, and so that one was tough. And then Von Heel says the highest pucker factor was that 310-foot tower, because actually it was the day before I topped that tower out when I got hit with 44-mile-an-hour wind in the side with 197 feet of main and 43 feet of jib. That was pretty bad. Von Hills, I think it's also important to listen to your riggers. If they tell you they see a risk, you need to address it. Yep. And I will, if you guys watching my videos, and this isn't something a lot of operators do, I don't ever listen to the radio unless I'm sitting still, not doing anything. I never turn my radio on inside the cab. I don't listen to music. I don't have earbuds in. And if I'm doing something somewhat critical, or even if I'm picking a house, I always have my door open. It can be blowing snow and 10 degrees outside, and I will still have my door open. And the reason why I do that is so I can hear if someone yells, because I'm still, like, when I'm sitting in that little glass box that's about yay wide, I'm trying to watch everything that's going on outside of me. But sometimes there's people in places that I can't see them, but I would still be able to hear them if they yell something. So if you guys watching all of my videos, I typically have my door open to where I can listen to what's going on outside. The reason why I don't listen to the radio, even if I'm doing duty cycle work, is I want to listen to what the machine's doing. Granted, if something is going on with the crane, typically you can feel it, but I also want to hear it. I want to hear that the engine's not misfiring. I want to hear if the chassis is flexing. I want to hear if my crane mats are popping or making noise. Sometimes you can even hear if the ground's doing something funny. So you can hear your rigging if your rigging starts to tear. That's all those different things. I want as much feedback as I can get while I'm sitting in there. Okay, so let's see. Little cat truck, any crane you'd like to operate before you retire? I'm content operating our 200-ton Tadano. It's a great machine. He and I have a pretty good respect for one another at this point. I've been operating it since 2016, and we get along pretty good. I haven't killed it, and it hadn't killed me yet, so I think we'll just keep on rolling with it. Let's see. Brody said yesterday I showed up on job site. We were pulling panels off the wall. We poured on Monday, and the guy who set the crane up, set the first pick, didn't have enough weight, pulled on the pick. So I'm guessing when they popped the panel off, it shot towards the ground. Red rocket picking girder. What you see on the screen is like Libre, where you must house lock at 4 degrees and zero. No, on ours when we pick counterweights, we set the counterweights on the deck. We lock the house straight over the rear, and then my cylinders come down. They rotate 90 degrees and then come up. The newer Tadanos, I think you offset like the Libres, but I'm not 100% certain. Oh, Bruce said, thankfully I saw the top leading to start to fall. I was able to cable up for him. And Fish fine. That's a good question. Says, does the crane have any micro adjustment mode for precision work? I can slow every function down on there. And I can slow them down individually. I can slow my cable down, and I can slow my cable up, down, and leave my cable down normal speed. I can slow swing left down and leave right at full speed, or vice versa. I can slow boom up and down. I can slow those down or speed them up. But I run it with everything at 100% except for swing. So the way I'm doing precision work is, the joysticks in that crane, they're electric over hydraulic, and they're really precise. So just small inputs is all it takes if you need to move just a little bit. No, Tech Man says midnight for me here in the UK, Jimmy. I must regrettably bow out of this live and hit the hay. Thanks for tuning in. Says huge thanks for the live chat, and really glad to see you back. William Works says most operators I know treat the job like a Masonic watch. Thanks for your breaking it down for the next generation. The industry needs it. Von Heels, if you hear the hydraulic pump making a weird noise, the tension level is going to go up very quickly. Yep. Nerd Garage. Yeah, we've had a pretty good relationship. Shane Davis says, when you read a job on paper, do you get nervous or decide changes? There are some jobs that make me nervous. Um, and there's a lot of jobs that we make changes, and there's sometimes that we have it all planned out on paper, and then when we show up at the job site, we're like, well, that ain't gonna work. So then we have to fall back, regroup, and do something different. Or one thing, my boss is really good about this. My boss isn't a crane operator. He's been around the industry for quite a while, and so he does know some stuff. He knows a thing or two about a thing or two. That might be on a commercial somewhere, but he's really good about, hey, you need to go out and do this job, and you need to put the crane here, and you need to do this, and you do that. And I'm like, I finally got to the point. I'm like, dude, just give me an address, because whatever you're telling me, I'm probably not going to do it when I get there anyway. So just give me an address, and I'll take care of the rest when I get there. So there are some things where we do go out, we preview the job, we do take some pretty precise measurements, and I've done some stuff where 3 or 4 inches one direction or the other would make all the difference in a successful pick and not a successful pick. So there are times that we do things that are very, very, very precise. But 99% of our work is go out, make it up as you go along, and make it happen. But yeah, he's really bad about, hey, you need to go set the crane up and do this and set it up like this, and you're probably going to use this rigging. And I'm like, just give me an address. We'll make it happen. We'll be back when we get done. Von Heels, if you slow the cable down much with a few parts of line in there, you aren't going to move much at all. It does slow down significantly when you start reeving a lot of parts of line in there. And then when you start putting a lot of parts of line in, you can't run high speed winch. So, yeah, with 8 parts of line in, man, that thing takes a long time to cable down. 10 parts, you can clock it with a sundial. Red Rocket, the day you said you had to override the boom to suck in faster, can you explain what it means just sucking in normally? So on that crane, there's a high speed retract and extend. And I typically don't extend and retract in high speed. Yes, dear. Okay. The wifey came down and told me dinner's ready, but it'll have to wait because I'm in the middle of answering a question. So there's a high speed and just a regular speed on extension and retraction. I typically don't use high speed, um, but there are times, thunderstorms, wind, stuff like that. High speed is the way to go. William Work, that's fact. This is that Shane Davis. Everything that's good on paper, you make your final decision once you see it. Yeah. Von Hill says, I think something a lot of people outside the industry probably don't realize is there are a lot of ways to be working near the limit of the equipment that may not seem obvious to outsiders. That's a fact. So, I actually, to give you an idea how much physics eludes some people, I went out to a job site, had to set some air conditioning units back on a roof. I think it was a 150-foot radius or something. And I was like, man, I'm probably going to need to put on a little more counterweight. And the superintendent on the job site, he said, well, isn't that a 200-ton crane? I said, yeah. He said, well, won't it pick up 200 tons? Well, yeah, it'll pick up 200 tons, but not 150 feet away from me. It'll pick up 200 tons 8 feet away from the center of rotation, but that's like right here. He thought that I could pick up 200 tons 150 feet away. I'm like, it's a big lever, dude. It doesn't work that way. Fish Find 3000. Is your wife still on that billboard? Fish Find 3000 must be local. I think she is indeed still on a billboard. Maybe I've asked you before. I don't know. Fish Find 3000, where are you? Yeah, Von Heels. Well, if you have 8 or 10 parts and you're picking up something you really don't want to move very quickly or move quickly anyway, that's a fact. Von Heels would pick up 200 tons and sitting in your lap. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's Fish Find 3000. So I just remember from your old videos. I'm way out in Chicagoland area. Yeah, I couldn't I couldn't fathom the fact that this guy didn't understand that 150-foot radius it wouldn't pick 200 tons. He just was like, man, I can't believe I won't pick 200 tons at 150 feet. I'm like, hmm. Someone did not pay attention in elementary school science class. 150-foot radius, you can carry its capacity with a pickup truck. Not quite. It'll still pick up a lot at 150 feet. At 150 feet, I can still pick up a pickup truck. Let's see. I actually have my load charts on the old phone here. Because I don't memorize that stuff. Contrary to what people might think, I don't have it all memorized. At 151 feet, 151-foot radius with full counterweight on. Make sure I'm on the right line here. I can pick up 14,100 pounds. Oh no, Von Heel said that. I thought you said 150 feet is like 2 tons. I can pick up 3,200 pounds at 249 feet. I think that's what that is. I'll tell you in a second. Mm-hmm. Wrong chart. Can't find my jib chart here that I need to use. Here we go. I stand corrected. I can pick 3,300 pounds at a 249-foot radius. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what Von Hill's probably referring to, like when I'm doing those cell phone towers, when I have all the inserts and stuff in it, it's it's only good for 5,100, I think, with all 197 feet of main out, and 5,300 with 186 feet of main out, but with 123 feet of jib. So that's probably where you're at with it, Von Heels. Sven Black, have you seen the mini telescopic crawlers around, or the remote mini cranes? Pretty cool. I see them a lot in northeast and plants at various tight spots. I have not. I haven't been around any of the little mini remote control ones. Shane Davis says booming out or in with a load. I don't understand what the PK is, but no, is it okay? Meaning, can I scope in or out with a load? I'm guessing. So there is a chart in there for scoping with a load. You have to configure the crane accordingly before you make the pick. So in order to live boom it, is what they call it, or live boom a section, I have to have the section unpinned from the section below it and a couple feet away from its pinning point before I start the process. And then I can scope with it, and then I have to stop 2 feet short of where it would pin again. Basically, they're wanting to keep you from engaging the locking mechanism with the weight hanging on it. William said, my wife has said the same thing, so I hope to catch another live stream. I'll ride it out as long as I can, but thank you again for your channel. William, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Go enjoy your dinner. Let's see. I do not have full camera if you're going to hang another. Fishfine said it'd be interesting to put a load cell on the rear outriggers and extend the boom all the way out and see how much weight gets lifted off the outriggers. The outriggers actually have load cells on them, and there's a screen inside the crane where I can see how much weight's on them. So I could set a camera up. Actually, I think I've done that on one video, but I don't know that it came out very well. Maybe I should do that again in another video, but I can set a camera up on that computer screen that shows the outrigger forces. Then you can watch the outrigger forces transfer from one outrigger to another, or you can watch them, the forces get greater in one outrigger as I'm picking something up. So that we could actually do that. And according to my buddies at Tadano, I can put full counterweight on it, run all 197 feet of main boom out, and boom it down flat over the rear. That's what they say. I've never done it, but I've picked out to 185-foot radius, I think, with 197 feet of main. So that's laid out to 8 or 9 degrees, I think, which is pretty close to flat. Von Hills, I don't know that I want to work under or around a crane that doesn't have someone sitting in it. Even our big crane, our 200-ton, you can get a remote control for it, which I wouldn't want to pick stuff with it via remote. I mean, in my opinion, as soon as you take the guy out of the seat that's feeling what that crane's doing, I think you're asking for some trouble. That's a fact. Von Hill says you can hear a lot with your ears, you can see a lot with your eyes, but you can't feel anything if you're not sitting in it. True story. I have Von Hill said, he said, you've picked outriggers up due to frame twisting. I have done that before, yes. And still been in my load chart. Long Commander, how are you doing? This is Fixing Pork Chop and seeing you were on. I know it probably came to everybody's surprise, like, oh, wow, Jimmy's on. Haven't seen him in about 400 days or so. So, my bad. We'll try to avoid that again. So, sorry for that. But yeah, I have been in the crane picking stuff. Still been in my chart, and just the frame twist alone was enough to pick an outrigger up off the ground. Yeah, I think taking the guy out of the seat is not a good plan. I can see it in like a skid loader or a dozer. You know, I've been around radio controlled skid loaders and stuff, but Von Heels asked if does the crane have an audible alarm for the outriggers? It does not. But with that, we are 2 hours into it. Oh, Von Heels, I work on computers every day. I do not want to trust my life to computers or sensors. I kind of do every day because I'm still trusting the computer in the crane, but cutting clean. What's up, Andy? With cutting clean. Um, so I still trust my computer, but I still would want to be sitting in it. Fish fine. Wasn't your daughter doing nursing or something like that? It's been so long. She's probably graduated by now. She is not. She's a junior in college. She's in the nursing program, but she's a junior in college, so she's getting close. Von Hills, that's probably a good point. He said, I would say you're verifying with the computer in the crane, not trusting it implicitly. Yes, that would be accurate. But we're a little over 2 hours into it. The wifey said dinner was ready, so I probably ought to go choke down some food. William said, still here for a minute. I wish I lived closer. I'd love to help you on another instructional video. YouTube and your channel helped me a lot when I had to get my certifications. Andy, cutting clean, says, you sound like you got a cold or something. I do. I had a heck of a head cold earlier this week. And today I actually feel somewhat normal, but still stuffy. Oh, fish fry, never shot that Henry yet. I haven't. It's still sitting in the safe. I need to get Andy from Cutting Clean and Randy from G4 to spend some time at the range with me so we can get Andy and Randy some good videos, because I think have close to 70 different guns they could choose from to shoot in their videos. And I've got some off the wall stuff. I've got some antique stuff. I've got some crazy stuff. Andy, you and Randy get a hold of me. We'll go do some G4 video stuff with some cool guns. Funny as Barry, go eat if you don't want to waste away. You got to keep that counterweight up for the crane. Hey, the more I weigh, the safer the crane is. Andy B says, Jimmy, good to hear from you. Hope everyone has a good night. See y'all next time. Nerd Garage, Von Hill, Electronics Design. You're absolutely right. I don't trust anything but my email and such to computers. Fish Find, you can always do some videos of that if you're out of crane ideas. I don't want to do gun videos on my channel, but real quick, fast, in a hurry before I go eat something, I got an idea I'm going to bounce off you guys, and you guys let me know what you think. So we bought one of those Oculus VR things. I thought it'd be kind of funny to G4 says, yes, we do, Andy. How are you doing, Randy? But I thought it'd be cool to like strap that VR on my wife and my daughter and like my son. And sometimes when they're playing it, do different stuff to them when they can't see it coming and scare the crap out of them. And I don't know. I'm thinking about recording some of that. I got my daughter pretty good. She was playing some jump scare game on there right after we got it, and she had her back towards me, and I walked up and scared her, and I legitimately think she peed a little bit. It was pretty interesting. So just for the heck of it, you guys may see some of that stuff here and there on there. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, G4 Outdoors, Randy, Cut and Clean TV, Andy, you guys get a hold of me. We will bust open the gun safe and get you guys some G4 footage. Anthony, right now, a good idea. Woofy W, any updates on Thor's hammer? Woofy W, the only update I got is I've about wore the wheels off of the motor or the engine stand that it's welded to. My garage is so packed full of crap. I should probably record a video of the inside of my garage so you guys can see what I'm working with. Yeah. I think if you threw a grain of rice in my garage right now, the wall might blow out the side. Nerd Grudge, I fully support this Oculus plan. That may happen. We may do some funny Oculus stuff here and there just to break the monotony of picking up houses and tanks. So anyway, with all of that, I appreciate everybody sticking around, and I appreciate all of your guys' support. I'm gonna throw together a quick video probably this weekend, try to get it out this week, and it's gonna be kind of back the way it was in the old days. It'd be minimal editing, pretty raw footage. Hopefully, it looks good. I'll still beep out the cuss words because I know there's still people watching that don't like it. So if there's any cuss words in it, I'll beep some of that out. And then maybe one day I'll do a video where none of that's beeped out. I'll just put a disclaimer on there that, hey, if you're sensitive to this kind of thing, this is the raw and real and the nasty of a construction site when people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Little drama or something. I don't know. But anyway, I appreciate everybody. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe next week. And let's see, you guys want to do another one of these in a couple weeks? Maybe? You guys like Saturday or Sunday better? Say something quick in the comments. We'll see. Fish fine, I agree on the no bleeping. But we can do another one of these in a couple weeks. Maybe go back to doing it on Sunday evening, something. Oh, William says, much love, Jimmy. Keep doing whatever you want to do. Oh, Stephen Black, Saturday for sure. Okay, we'll just, or Sven. Sorry. I said, oh, Billy Laptop, Sunday. Oh, now we got a dilemma. Either day's good. Well, Billy Laptop used to live in this area, so I kind of consider him kind of a neighbor. So we're going to go with Billy Laptop Sunday. So we'll do like a couple weeks from tomorrow. How's that? So, oh, yes, all right, everybody. I appreciate y'all. Two Top Crane is out.